Finance Minister Cutbacks is due in Parliament later today to deliver the government's revised economic policy statement. The statement is expected to highlight government's plans to reduce its expenditure as it grapples with a weakening economy. Joy business editor Emmanuel Ejay is here with me. We'll try and understand this over the next few minutes. Thanks for being here, Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. What does this mean, really? He going to Parliament to give us a revised budget?
Okay, let me just begin with, a little bit of enlightenment on what this is all about. You know, usually we would have what we call supplementary budgets.
Okay.
That means that government intends to, spend more than what it budgeted for, and it needs parliamentary approval. Now, this time around, what's happened is that we have had to review some estimates. I mean, we made some estimates with respect to how much we're going to spend and all that, and that depends on the revenues that come in. But the declining crude oil prices have actually taken a negative toll on the revenues expected, because we've virtually become a net exporter of oil, because the amount of money that we spend on importing is lesser than what we get from exporting the oil that we produce in the country. So government actually pegged the price at $99 per barrel. Now, this is the situation where over the last couple of months you reckon that it's reduced drastically, and it's now hovering around $50 and $60 per barrel. So it's taking a toll on the revenues government is expecting. It's reduced it by about $700 million, and obviously that's huge. So government needs to review the estimates in terms of how much it's going to spend on which sectors and all that. So this is what has actually necessitated it.
What role does the assistance we're getting from the IMF play in this cutback budget review?
Okay, now, it has as one of the conditions that, for the fund program we're going for, that we need to revise our estimates, obviously because of, the developments I just made reference to. Okay. So it's become a prerequisite. Now, if that's the case, then it means that government would have to go ahead and do it. But then again, we know that with the first stage that the bank staff was here, they actually virtually approved it. But the board is supposed to sit on this by, early April. That's April 3. And if that's the case, it means that the conditions would have to be met. One of the major conditions is that revise your estimates. So it means that the government would have to do it ahead of time, so that they would also, get the time to go through it and ensure that, we get a bailout.
What are the cutbacks you're projecting we could see later today? Well,
mainly in terms of subsidies. Subsidies, that is for utilities, talk of water and electricity. It's been a subject for a while now. And then also fuel or petroleum products as well. That debate has been going on for a while now, we know. So they are actually going to be focused on, because government would have to find a way of making up for the sort of shortfall in revenue we're expecting. So the subsidies would most likely be cut, as well as that of projects. Projects would be affected. Now, what's going to happen is that there are several projects that were outlined in the 2015 budget, and the government would necessarily have to then prioritize. So some projects that might not be pressing, if you like, would have to be held on with, then move on with the more important ones, and then we do it. Then we also can have the situation where, when it comes to these projects, we know that there are a wide range of them, so it can be in any sector. So the sectors that are actually going to be affected would also be known there.
Are we looking into, or are we looking at the very near future where Finance Minister Cutbacks will be seeking approval to broaden the tax net in this particular review?
Well, all things being equal, that's what we should have, we should expect. But, with the current economic conditions, The experts do not believe that it would happen, even though it would have been more prudent to go that way. So that's why they are looking at cutting back on the spending in terms of projects and also cutting down on subsidies. Another thing that I probably forgot was when it comes to government spending itself, you know, the recurrent expenditure, that is what it spends, you know, in terms of, the management of MMDAs and, you know, everything that goes into the operations of government. Now they are actually going to make sure that they prioritize and know which ones to cut and all that. So it's not likely, you know, that taxes would actually be increased, but who knows, anything can happen.
Anything will happen indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Emmanuel J is Joy Business Editor here at Joy News. Now, breaking news here on Joy News Desk is that an Accra High Court has freed businessman Alfred Agbashi Woyome. You recall that the NDC financier has been standing trial on 2 counts for defrauding the state by false pretenses and causing financial loss, but based on what the judge calls a sloppy job by the prosecution, the businessman has been freed and acquitted and discharged, essentially. So let us know what you think. Facebook.com/Joy News on TV. In a bit, we'll go back to the court and get in touch with our court correspondent, Anil Sabute, to fill us in on what's been going on there. I'll be right back. Don't go away.